I literally have no idea what I'm gonna do. I just came on thinking like, yeah, I'll do something, and now I've been sitting here for like God knows how long, being like, what am I actually gonna do? Like, am I gonna talk about something? Am I gonna play video games? What am I gonna do? But hello, Keko. Hello, welcome in. I literally have no sense of self. I mean, sense of like knowledge, sense of like direction. That's the word. I went through like 4 hoops just then. I have like no sense of direction. I have no idea what I'm gonna do this stream. I have no plans. Literally got nothing. I did have one game, but then I'm like, do I really want to play that? Am I in the mood? Would I be funny? I don't know. It's freaking me out. It's freaking me out that I don't know what to do. It feels like I haven't been in for like forever though. Like I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. I have no idea what's going on. You know what? Outlast. I don't have Outlast. Oh, Outlast would be so fun though. It's only $30. Fuck. That's $10 less than Hades, okay? I could get Outlast. It might take so long to download though, that's the thing. Oh, but it could be so fun, right? It could be so fun. Oh man, I don't even know. I need to go put my hair up. Hang on, I need to go put my hair up. There's like hair all over this bitch. Hold on now, hold on. It is also just so cold today. I have no, like, I woke up thinking like maybe it'd be fine, but I guess not. I guess I'm actually freezing my actual bones off and I have no idea what to do. Anywho, hi everyone. Hi. I hope everyone's doing okay. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing this stream. Got no idea. Got nothing. This jacket smells like petrol. This jacket actually smells like petrol and I don't know what to do. I have no idea. Ew. Oh my god. Ew. What? Ew, it actually smells like petrol. This is foul. Oh, this is foul. Anyway, chat. I was thinking we could maybe play, I have Fallout. I might play some Fallout. I really just want to like vibe the stream. It's been a weird few days. I've had such a overwhelming social few days that I just haven't been able to like do anything. And I didn't know if I wanted to do the stream today because I was like, am I actually in the right mood to do it? But I don't know. I guess we're here. I think if I just play a game that I like just know and love, which is Fallout, it'll be so fine. Super, you forgot about the stream. Unbelievable. Can't believe my mod. Should fire you right now. I'm kidding. Hi, Super. Hi. How are you? I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I think it's either between my nail is gonna break. No, my nails are so long. This would be fucked up if it broke. Mine. That is very true. You did show up pretty fast. But how was your shower? I hope it was nice and warm or cold. I don't know what weather everyone's in right now. Me personally, in 9 degrees. I'm in 9 degrees right now. And I'm so cold, and my jacket smells like petrol, and I don't know what to play. I don't know what to play. I don't know what to talk about. Oh no, chat. You know what I do have? You know what I do have to talk about? I have a big fuck off fat cold sore on my lip, and it's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. I haven't had a cold sore in years, literally years. Like at least like mosquitoes do suck. Oh my god, I hate how itchy they get. I used to like when I get bitten by mosquitoes, this is so disgusting. I would literally scratch it till I'm bleeding, and then I'd be like, ew, and then I get really gross about it. I'd be like, ew, gross. It's like 20 degrees, which is too hot. That's too hot. That's like still cold for me. But yeah, no, I got a cold sore and I haven't had a cold sore in literal years. So every time I talk, I can like feel it, you know? Ugh, it's so gross to actually talk about. I can like feel it. It's so bad and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do and I hate it. It's so gross. I've been putting like cream on it, so hopefully it goes away in 3 days. I was like reading the back because I was like, there's no fucking way this is gonna last for a week. If this lasts for a week, I'm personally cutting my lip off. I will be lipless. I will just talk with my teeth. I don't even need my lips anymore. I don't need to kiss people. Oh, I love kissing people though. That's why I got the cold sore, guys. What the fuck? I don't have anyone to kiss. Sad. With no smoochers. Hi stupid. Hi Way. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. How are we? I hope we're all having a great day. I'm trying to figure out what to play. I have Fallout and Night Bus, and I was thinking of getting Outlast, even though I really do want Hades 2, but Outlast is like $10 cheaper. Play Snake. I don't even know if I have Snake. I don't. I've not played much lately. But mostly. Oh, Tunic. Yeah, I remember you talking about that in the chat, in the Discord. That seems so fun. Let me have a look at it. Tunic. Hey, yeah. Oh, yeah, with the little. Oh, God, it's $43. Why is everything so expensive? It all so expensive. This is so messed up. Outlast is $10 cheaper. Outlast is $10 cheaper. No, like $20 cheaper than Tunic. $20 cheaper than Tunic and $10 cheaper than Hades. Did you play Hades 1? I did play Hades 1. I love Hades 1. I think I have. Hang on, let me have a look. I have 81 hours. I need to have more though. We could play just Hades. We could just do some runs, try and see where we're at, try and finish it. I do have the Moomin game. I'm in like I don't know what kind of mood I'm in, you know? I feel like Moomin is for a much later time in the night, you know? And it's 7:40 a.m. here. I heard Australia's expensive. It's so expensive to buy video games here. It's like, it's too expensive. It kind of sucks. You know, being a streamer and then like you need to play like games, you know, since you're a streamer. And then like a normal game is $40. And you're like, okay, well. And then when the sales come on, it's still a lot. It's still a lot. How much AUD for Hades 2? It is Hades 2. Hades 2 in AUD, it's $43. Oh! It's $43.95. Oh! It does have shit conversion rates. It's so bad. Play a childhood teenage. Oh, you know what's a really good childhood teenage for any Crash Bandicoot or Spyro game. Ooh, I love those games so much. I need to figure out how to emulate. Does anyone? I shouldn't say that out loud. Does anyone know how to emulate? Does anyone know how to emulate? I would really like to emulate some video games. Not as a good, yeah. You know, super. I'm gonna send you a message. I'm gonna send you a message later. I'm gonna be like, can you tell me what I'm doing? Because I want to play. I really, really, really just want to play some old video games. That's all I want to do. I just want to play some old video games so bad. Like old Crash Bandicoot, so good. Old Spyro, I want to play the. I don't think they have it. No, they don't. Do they? I can't remember what ones they do have. Do they have the? What have they remastered? I love the older platformers. You should play old games? Yeah. What is this? Bunyu? Thank you for the 45. Hades 2. Yippee! Don't even tell me. There's no way. There's no way. Who could that be? Who could that be? Thanks, stupid. Thanks. You know what's crazy right now? You know what's crazy right now? You know what's crazy right now? I'm gonna. You know what's crazy right now? You know what's. You know I'm gonna. Hades 2. You know what? You know what's crazy? Hold on. I need to. Hold on. I need to make sure my PayPal's connected. You know what's so crazy? I'm crying a little bit. I'm gonna be so honest. I'm crying just a little tiny. I'm crying just a little tiny bit. I just want to play Hades 2 so bad. I just want to play Hades 2 so bad. Oh, it depends on the actual on how long it takes, because I don't know how well it will go, how well it will I don't know how well it'll go over when it you know. I don't know how well it'll go over. I don't know how. I'm like lost for words. I'm too excited. I'm gonna start bouncing off the walls, chat. I'm gonna start bouncing off the walls. I'm gonna start freaking out. Ah, oh my god. Oh my god, 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 oh my god. Chat. Oh my Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Hey? It's gonna take so long to download. Oh, it's gonna take an hour. Oh, never mind, it's gonna take 2 hours. Oh, that's okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, stupid. I'm gonna. Some regions can't gift some regions because of the regional price. Oh. You need some official PS3 stuff to get. Oh my god. Which they can't provide because privacy, so it's hard to find. My ex, who I haven't talked. Could you imagine if I messaged my ex, whom I haven't talked to in like 4 years, and I'm like, hey, you probably don't remember me, but I was just wondering if you could like help me get an emulator. I know you don't talk to me anymore. I know we don't talk to it. I know we don't talk anymore, but like I just want to. It'd be really cool. It'd be really cool if you did that. It'd be PlayStation. It'd be PlayStation. I don't really play any Xbox games. It's all PlayStation. PlayStation. Hi, Daniel. It's it's all PS2, PS1, PS2 games. They would. Actually, yeah, he would. I think he graduated cybersecurity stuff because he was like really into cybersecurity and like computer science and everything and coding. I think he would have actually like my mommy. Is the post breakup that bad? I don't even know how. Hi, Say. I don't even know. I'm not gonna talk about much about my breakup on this thing, but it was years ago. But like, I think I was legitimately so sad because I was like, I don't know internet security that well. And he was the one that taught me my internet security. So I was coding. He's doing coding. Hi everyone. Hi, peasant. Yeah, I know nothing about like internet security, so he was that, and he was just like, you have to make sure you have all these things so nothing happens. And I'm like, okay. And then we broke up, and now I have nothing. Like I have my firewalls and stuff and my VPN, but like other than that, I don't have anything deep like he does. And it's like the user is always the biggest flaw in this. Oh. It was really cool though to see like how coding went and how coding worked. It was really interesting. I really did like watching watching him code and everything. What's up? Why are we screaming? Scream if you love Hades too. I'm so excited. This was such a bad financial move, stupid. Oh my god, I'm reading too many. I'm too excited. My brain's going 10 miles an hour. You know what? Actually, everyone in chat, this was a really bad financial move. Everyone blame stupid, okay? Because I'm going to disappear from this stream, and everyone and people who have me on Steam, or if I don't know if my Steam's like connected to my Discord, but you guys are going to be seeing me play Hades 2, and it's going to reach 15 hours, and you're going to be worried. I will not move. I will not be moving from this seat. I will be playing Hades 2 for as long as I can. I've actually been thinking about getting back into World of Warcraft. Chat, have you ever played World of Warcraft? Have any of you ever played World of Warcraft? Sounds like a good time to me. Play Human Resource Machine or 7 billion humans and watch her play a semi-coding game. Have we seen me trying to get through the coding in Fallout? Have we seen that yet? I feel like we have, and I couldn't even get past that, you know? But I was like luck, I think. I have no access to those things. Exactly. BRB. Okay. Couldn't get into WoW. If you play Hades 2 off stream, oh my god, you're so right. The next stream, I'm gonna be like, guys, all this happened. I kissed Odysseus. I just want to say Odysseus. I just want to see Odysseus. There's nothing to it. Make sure you don't spoil. Okay, don't worry about it. I'm sat here for days now. I'm sick. I'm sick, right? I've got like swollen throat glands, and I've got like a cold sore, and I'm like dying a little bit. I'm set for my healing journey, okay? I'm gonna have my friend come over, and he's gonna be worried because I wouldn't have replied to any of his stuff. Hi, Doom! Hi, Doom Destiny! How are you? Glad to see you too. Welcome back. Thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. Pronounce Melanie? Melanie? Melanoni? Melanie? Mel? Isn't it Melanie? Am I stupid? I think I might be stupid. Hades 2. Destiny? Okay. Thank you for coming back, Destiny. Pronunciation. Hold on now. Greek mythology. Looking it up. Hold on. Melano. This is an ad. Get away from me. I can't skip this ad. Everyone hates me. This is horrible. Hold on, chat. Oh, shit. We are looking to pronounce. We know how to play Zagreus. We know how to say Melanoi. Melanoi. No, Melanoi. Melanoi. Is that how you say it? Melanoi. My god, his name is pronounced Gigi. Whoa! Melanoi. That's good. I literally got Julian Mikkel telling me how to pronounce this. Melanoi. Man, that is very smooth. I'm also sorry, guys. I'm like really sick. I probably shouldn't be like a baby coffee into the mic right now. I probably shouldn't be like with my tongue out and everything. Your demon name is Destiny. Yes. What even like? What the hell was I talking about? If I was a demon, I would be in charge of just making sure people suffer by like talking. I'd make sure people who hate listening would get me, and I would just yap and talk, and then they'd want to like die because of how much I'm talking. And then I'm used to the coffee myself. You sick too? Oh my god. It girl. I want. Oh my god. I want this one. Shawty call 911. I love it. Shawty fire burning on the dance floor. Anyway, chat. I'm super excited. You had pneumonia. What the? You had pneumonia? That's. Oh my god. I'd love to use one of those old table arm pulls. Oh my god, that would feel so good in my back. Oh. Oh my, oh, thinking about that. Thinking about getting pulled. Oh, it feels so good. But Super, you had pneumonia. Are you okay? Are you okay? Genuinely, are you okay? Because like having pneumonia sucks. That shit would be crazy. I'm dying a little bit. I literally, God, I'm gonna be on one of those torture things so bad. There's a few torture devices I wouldn't mind trying out. If I had 9 lives, I'd spend 8 of them either like doing the most drastic shit I could. One of them would be I would kill myself in front of a customer just to see, you know, because it's like the customer's always right. What if I just died? What if I literally just killed myself in front of you? What would you do? And then I'd come back to life and then they'll be traumatized forever and then they'll have to think about it. Okay, medieval torture. Medieval torture devices. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be going through medieval torture devices that I would personally try. So up first we have, oh, you can't even see. Let me have a look. Let me have a look. Somebody call 911. All right, what we got? This is like such a big giant thing right now. Okay, what do we got? We got the rack. The rack. Is this the one you were talking about? Oh, the rack kind of looks good. Ooh, the rack kind of looks good. Yeah, I'd do it. I'd do it. I'd try it. Let me see right now. I don't want to like... Yeah. There we go. Yeah, try this. I think it would get to a huge rack. That's what I have, guys. Huge, big, juicy, huge, marvelous, amazing rat torture. What? Okay, hold on. I'm getting too ahead of myself right now. I'm getting too ahead of myself. What about the wooden horse? Is that the one where they put you on the horse and they have your legs and they like go and it like cuts you in half? How would you do step 2, the coming back to life thingy? You want details? All right, here's what would happen. All right. I have 9 lives, okay? Every time I die, I would just simply, like, from how it, like, you know when Palpatine took years and years and years to, like, reconstruct his body after that insane damage? That's what would happen to me, but in, like, a shorter span time. It would take me about 24 hours tops. Maybe 22, depending on how I died. But, like, chat, could you imagine being strapped into one of these and then literally getting oh, could you imagine? And then I'm thinking about it so much right now. I think I might like start jumping off the walls. You know how they would, I'm gonna put you guys right here. So we can look at this together. I can imagine I'm like laying on this trap. Okay, envision this with me, chat. I'm laying on this trap. Right, they're grabbing this little wooden thing, right? It's going and then each time it's like I would be pulled a bit more, and then at one point my body would just go and everything in me would pop and I would maybe go up an inch in height, maybe a few centimeters, but my body would feel so good. You have no idea. You guys wouldn't understand, okay? I got freaky with him. What? Who's getting freaky on the rack? Who's getting freaky on the medieval torture rack, all right? What's going on? Brazen bull. Chat, what do we feel about the brazen bull? That's not the brazen bull. You would not believe your eyes. What do you think about the brazen bull? I personally think that is such an insane method. Not the bronze bull. Slow cooking your enemies. It was actually insane. Who came up with that? It was a Sicilian bull, right? Yeah. In ancient Greece. Who the fucking Socrates? Some guy? I don't know. And make it howl. That's what I'm saying. Planet Earth turns slowly. I literally can't believe people are like, yeah, this is such a good device. Whack someone in there. Make sure you can hear him scream, but make it the bull. Right? When I fall asleep. And the king that made it and tested it for the inventor. Oh yeah, the inventor inside of it. They were like, yeah, first victim, you. Imagine making something and then you literally die from it. I just want a pear of anguish. Pear of anguish. Are we eating pears now? The howling was the steam and the people screaming, and it was like, breast rippers? I don't get my breast ripped. Oh! Oh! My poor boobs! Minos, get him out of here. Get Minos out of here. Oh, it was, I can't pronounce his name. Diatus? Dialysis. I literally study ancient Greece. I'm a fraud. I'm an actual fraud. Chad, do you say 82? 82? Oh my god. We're yapping though. We're yapping about this. Getting tossed into his labyrinth by me. Oh yeah. Did he? No. 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 He didn't get tossed in his labyrinth from Minos. I thought he tried to make wings and fly with Icarus. Because that was his son, right? I don't think he got trapped in the labyrinth. Or things in Hades. Maybe. I don't. Okay, listen. I'm talking about boob torture. I'm talking about big-breasted boob torture right now. This right here, boob torture. Minos tossed someone into the labyrinth. He did like every year he held a a contest of sorts where the strongest boy from each island comes and has to try and kill the bull. And it was a way to be like, ha ha ha, no one can kill the bull, and I breast ripper when you really want those F cups. But yeah, it was like a way for him. He's what? Oh, it was like a way to show people that like he is still a really, really powerful guy and he can never be overthrown because he has this bull under his house running around causing a rampage. So strange. Anyway, the breast rippers, right? He was a jerk. I love big, huge boobs and I could never torture them. Some motherfucker did though. It contained 4 claws, which were used to slowly rip the breasts from women from various crime. Why? Why would you literally be like, yeah, you know what? Come here. Titty theft. I'm gonna go around stealing every bitch's titties, alright? I'm gonna go steal their titties so I'm the only one with the biggest boobs. I don't even have that big boobs. I have double D's. The Minotaur was caused by the many instances of Zeus being really horny and getting freaky with an animal shape. No. The Minotaur was from Minos' wife, who got, I think she got cursed by Hera or some goddess to get like insanely infatuated with the sun gods. Oh god, I forgot his name. Helios, I think that's his name. But the sun gods is like cows or bulls or something, and so she made the scientist Dialysis or whatever. Which monster was born from Zeus fucking a woman as an animal? When he fucked a woman as a swan? Is that what you're talking about? Zeus swan. Leda. Are you talking about this? You talking about Leda? Leda and the swan? Form of a, yeah, the Spartan queen. I don't know if anything came from it. That's the thing. Shot at you the hardest. Hi potato salad. Loki fucked a wolf. Loki fucked a lot of things. Super, you're thinking OG, the half horse, half human man things. Oh, the centaurs? Is that what they're called? Are they called centaurs? I'm Greek, so I 100%. So I'm 100% right. That's how it works, right? That's how it works. Yeah. yeah. Gigi absorbs the titty life energy like an evil wizard. I go around and I take people's boobs, and in that I take their knowledge. So then I become not only the girl with the biggest tits, but also the girl with the biggest brains. And who could want more, you know? Who could want more? You know, they say would you rather brains or boobs? I have both. Pretty much. Yeah. Big old horse finger on a dude. Whoa! Give me that cock, dude. Give me that. Nah. I personally, if a guy can make me laugh, I'm there anyway. If a guy can make me laugh, I'm there. Judas Cradle? What's this? What's Judas Cradle? Judas Cradle was a torture device. There's a large fixed stool with Damn. So many assholes are on there. That's crazy. No, like horse. What? What are you asking of me? Why did the woman decide to go with the horse though? I don't know. It's like how I think a lot of ancient Greece was literally just like people did things because the gods were like, this would be so funny to talk about over dinner. You wanna know what I did? Russ, 27
Well, this
months.
was quite the moment to enter the stream. Offagaha.
Hey. Hey, Russ, what's up? We're just talking about different medieval torture devices, not talking about how, like, I'm gonna steal everyone's boobs. You know what I mean. That's a different version of the wooden horse. We're not at the wooden horse yet. We did just go over the choke pear. What is the choke pear? The pear of anguish. The pear of the Pope. Used to humiliate and torture victims. What? I love this song. Do you guys know this song? She called me red-headed, dreaming with the girl next. Whoa! With Prime. Oh my god, thank you so much for the Prime.
3, I'm a baby.
Thank you so much for the Prime. You're literally, oh my god, literally amazing. 2 months. Happy 2 months. You're a little baby. Thank you so much for the Prime. That means so much. You have no idea. Oh my god, oh my god. Thank you so much. 11 months. Gigi, hi, Valaris. 11 months. Thank you so much. Oh, you guys are so sweet. You guys are so sweet right now. You guys are so sweet. Literally gonna start making out with every single person here. No, we can't make out. I have a cold sore. But I'll send you little air kisses. I don't want to give everyone my cooties. Quad directional spoon. Oh. The king that asked for the bull torture device to be made, then told the creator to test himself and torture the dead. Yeah, that was strange. Call me red-handed, treat me with the girl next door. The Gigi juices, you're contracting the silly disease. Be silly, rah! Be crazy, rah! I gotta get on my laptop so I can dodge the mobile tax on gifts. There's a mobile tax? That's actually messed up. That's so messed up. Like the medieval torture victim booty in the bed. No! Oh my god, the pear in it. One of my fave movies has a girl that gets one. Whoa, and a demon spins it? That's so fucking rock. Are you kidding me? That's so punk rock. That is so crazy. Coffin torture. This is what I'm gonna do to you guys, chat. I'm gonna put you guys in little coffins. And I'm gonna hang you guys from my roof. And you guys are gonna act like little wailing souls. You guys are gonna have your legs hanging out from here. And then you're gonna be like ripping the bars and you're gonna be swinging because you guys won't be on the floor. And then you guys will start all singing together like a like one of those like quartet things. You've beaten the original. No. No, I have not. I've completed Outlast 2 though. That's not the same game, but it's like similar. I haven't even touched Outlast 1. I don't know why I played Outlast 2 instead of Outlast 1. Don't ask me those questions. Don't know the answer to them. But Apple and Samsung both take a cut. That's so crazy. Yeah, you guys can sing sea shanties. I'm gonna no, please. Please don't scream. I'm trying to sleep. You guys can sing me to sleep though. You guys can sing me to sleep. You can guys think any sea shanties. I thought I heard the old man say, leave her. Oh, Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Black Flag? God. That was a moment in time. Well, if you like torture devices, a section of Amnesia with a bunch of these. Ooh. Hey guys, what's up? We're actually going to be trying real medieval torture devices today. We are starting off with rat torture. The most sinister torture techniques. Jeez. These are crazy. Actual freaks came up with these. I was thinking about her, thinking about me, thinking about us, what we're gonna be. Open my eyes. It was only just a dream. Anyway. Think about me. What we're gonna be. You can see old finish. Do it. Right now. Proof. I was gonna do it, but I was like, I don't know any finish. Drywall eater. Me go insane. No. I'm gonna start clawing at the walls. I'm gonna start clawing at the walls of my mind. Wail up she rises, wail up she rises, wail up she rises. When motherfuckers have no internet, literally, this is what happens when they don't have any YouTube to eat while they eat. Any YouTube to watch while they eat. That's what I was meant to say. Man, I can never have like any funny clips because everything I say makes no sense. I have the most incoherent sentence structure nowadays. It's bad. If anyone ever wants to get any good clips of me, there's none. Think about me, think about us, what we're gonna be. If I was ever anyone's prisoners, I'd tell them every day at the exact same time that everything is a dream, wake up. Oh my god. That's sinister. That's like really sinister. Oh, never mind. It was only just a... Hey, speaking of dreams. Dream. What will we do? Nowadays, we just watch YouTubers who have some society would collapse. I do personally know about society collapsing. I do collapse it on the daily basis. What will we do with the drunken sailor? What will we do? Oh, what will we do with the drunken sailor? What? You have physics? Yeah, dude. I have so much physics on my chest. It's normal. That's normal. You say that if it was bad. I got no idea. One time my father woke up and it was a bit dizzy. I went up to him and went, "You're still dreaming. Wake up." Chad, have I told you about the time where I slept next to my best friend and during the night he woke up wide-eyed, sat up, looked at me directly in the face, went, "Fucking kill yourself, cunt," and then went to sleep. Did I tell you guys about that? He doesn't remember it. He doesn't remember a damn thing. He doesn't remember a damn thing that happened. He doesn't remember doing that, but he did it. Souls in the Ocean? I haven't heard that one. I think it's harder to find, but yeah, it is. It's a lot harder to... You can find... Yes, it's Jazz. Sleep venting. He really just wants me to die. Like, he really just can't have me in his life anymore. He's like, get the fuck out. I've seen some VTubers with some crazy boob physics. I've seen them full look like liquid balls. You know? A triple layer... A dream on top of a dream on top of another dream? Really? The worst dream is me waking up and going to school, then halfway through the day I woke up for real and had to go to school again. And was still in the... That would be crazy! Waking up twice and still being in a dream? Oh my god. Like 2 bags of sand. I'm genuinely thinking about holding a bag of sand. Holding a bag of sand feels so heavy to me. It feels like it feels like I would actually break my arms. If my boobs were that heavy, I think I would actually do something drastic. You know what I would do? You know what I'd do, chat? You know what I'd do? Breast ripper, right? Thinking I was lady friend in my bed, and then I woke up and I'm like, no. Do you know, last night I had one of my friends sleep over and I had a hell of a bad night terror to the point where I was like pushing them away because I thought they were a dead guy in my bed. And I was like, no, no, get off me, get off me. And I have really long nails at the moment. And I think I like cut them. And they just had to hold me and be like, it's okay, you're okay. And I was like screaming, trying to get off them. And yeah, because I thought they were a dead guy. I ain't fucking scared of him. I feel like my nose is bleeding. Chat, when I'm sick, I think I literally become like a zombie. Like, my nose bleeds. My throat gets swollen. It's bad. I know I'm muted. I'm just being really gross right now. Hey guys, sorry. I was literally, it was gross. I didn't want you guys to see that side of me. I didn't want you guys to see that side of me, you know? Why is the emoji at the top corner yapping? Because it's me. Oh, never mind. Ross is on it. Coco's on it. That's my real model. That's actually me, chat. That's actually my real life face right there. That's my real life face. Just yapping. Like deadlifting 100 kilograms of soil sand without noticing? What makes you think I'm deadlifting 100 kilograms? It's actually 200 kilograms. Thank you very much. Professional yapper is translating his cheating to sign language and yapping. Oh my god. I don't know. I literally started off this stream. What the fuck is happening right now? There's so much like liquid dripping out of me in like every orifice I have. I shouldn't have said that out loud. I've already committed. It's fine. I didn't. Interesting. I didn't. Why is it telling me silently we should go into the rat's birthday party and get it a pet snake? Go give the rats a snake. Jesus! I'm sorry! Forgive me! Oh my god. The plug is leaking. Plug the leak. No, I'm just... God. I need to be booed off stage. Chat, can you boot me off stage? Chat, can you guys like... Chat, can you guys boot me off stage? Tell me to like fuck off. Be like, boo, you suck! Stop streaming! And then I get really sad and I actually stop streaming. I never do it again. Encore! Big water balloons and you just milk them. I love milking my big water balloon boobs. Old-timey long cane that drags Gigi. Oh, could you imagine? And I'm like, no, please. Like a stupid ass fucking bit. Hello guys, it's me. Let me move this so I can do this bit. Can I even do this? Whoa, I'm really long. What? Huh? No. Chat, can you hear me? Hear me, guys? Can you guys hear me? Please? Actually, crazy news, chat. I don't know where I am. I don't know how to bring myself back. I do not know where I am. I've completely gone off screen. I've completely gone off stream. I don't know where I am. I don't know how to bring myself back. Do the hand from SpongeBob would be so funny. I don't know where I am though. I can't bring myself back. Oh, there I am. Hey guys, I'm actually here. I'm here, don't worry. I'm back. I'm here, I'm back. I'm here. I've done it. I'm alive and I'm alive and I'm well. I'm alive and I'm well and I'm here. So you're gonna go? Not the boobs. Don't take my boobs away from me, please. Am I right? Am I like good? I think I'm good. I think I'm good. No, please, my boobs. Is my gain up again? I don't actually know. I don't even. Whoa. Am I gain good? Am I good? Yippee! Is my gain good, guys? I like realized I did mess it up when I tried to do a bit. How long have that combo meal been there for? I'm sure it grew on its own ecosystem by now. It's actually every chat. You don't actually know. You guys throw up that's fucked up. You don't actually know, but after every stream, I just order a new one. There was a point of time where I just didn't, and it just became like, because McDonald's doesn't mold. Do you guys know that? Do you guys know about this story? Have I told you guys this story about how I cleaned out my sister's car one time because I'm such a good sister and she was pregnant, so obviously I wasn't gonna let my pregnant sister clean out her car. And I cleaned it out, and as I was cleaning, I literally found a patty from McDonald's, like a whole burger, like a hamburger, cheeseburger thing. And it was rock solid. And I looked at my sister and I'm like, hey, how long has this been in your car? When was the last time you had McDonald's? This was like 2 years ago now, by the way. She's like, I haven't had Macca's in a couple of months. And I was holding this with my bare hand. I was holding this rock solid, not bacteria, like no mold, nothing. Just this rock solid cheeseburger in my hands that had been sitting in her hot car because it was summer for months. This burger looks like if you just got it. Looks like I literally would have just went through the drive-thru and got it myself just then, you know? But we're boycotting Macca's, so we're not having any McDonald's because we're boycotting. But it looked like it was still fresh. The only thing was that it felt like a rock. Like if I threw this at someone's head, I could give them a concussion kind of thing. But it was so straight. I'll go ahead and and take a bite. I'll go ahead and take a bite. Don't worry. No. Please don't bite who the fuck leaves food in the car? My pregnant sister, I guess. New stretch goal? There is a new stretch goal. I haven't talked about that actually. Hold on, let me do that. New stretch goal. There is. Let me have a look. Hold on. It's like in my mirror. Eat a 10-year-old burger. Could you imagine? Oh, I think I would die. I think that would actually kill me. I think if I ate a 10-year-old burger, if I don't leave a Macca's quarter pounder in my car, what will I use for hockey pucks each month? What would I do if I'm trapped in traffic and I'm really, really hungry? I could literally put my hand under my seat, find a really hard nugget, and eat it. It'll be so good. What's happening right now? Why is Truck Simulator downloading? What was going on just then? Poor Truck Sim. Give me my stretch goals, please. Cry me a river. We have some stretch goals. We have some new stretch goals. They're so fun. I don't know if we'll reach this by the time. Ooh, trucker time. It's truck month? I don't know, it's truck month. Are you kidding me? I need to get my little trucker hat on. I need to get ready to start slamming into people. Chat, do you remember when we did a drunk driving stream? Not in real life. No drunk driving in real life. Could be a possibility. I'm sorry. Anyway, I have some stretch goals here. If we get up to 400, I'm gonna eat some spicy noodles, VTuber song cover, and some lewd art. We are reaching the end of we literally only have a few more days of this month, so please don't feel obliged to try and hit any of these goals. These are just stretch goals. We did reach the original goal, which was 300, and that is amazing. We are actually on top, our chat. I need you, chat, you're really close to me right now. You're so close. Give me some space, man. Give me some space. Cry me a river. What was I talking about? You made me not use this as your drunken streams. How long ago was that? That was like 2 years ago. So close to no. I remember there was some video about a burger and fries from McDonald's from the 60s, 70s that simply remained dry, didn't grow mold or anything. That's really gross to think about. Oh my god, no. The what tax? The mobile tax. Apparently, Samsung and Apple takes a little bit of the money when you gift through your mobile. Shh, don't tell them. Don't tell anyone though. Don't tell anyone about this actual scam. Oh my god, I'm thinking about it. Where's my Twitch? Say what? Where's my Twitch? What? Sorry, I just looked at a message from Say. What? Where's your Twitch? I don't know where my Twitch is. What do you mean? I heard a funny noise. That's a neat part. It doesn't. I love being scammed by companies. It's so good. He told me she built a time machine. I love the Jones Brothers. And why did I say almost? What? Yeah, you still owe me 2 drawings, but this one I think I'm never gonna give you the request and just bring it up as a meme. And then I'm gonna start begging, and then I'm gonna start crying my eyes out because you won't give me the 2 drawings to draw. You could wait until I'm like insanely intoxicated and I'm doing a drunk driving stream. You could wait until that and then be like, hey Gigi, you know how you promised to draw me 2 drawings? Draw one right now. And then I'm like, I'm like drunk, I'm on lean, I'm on fentanyl, I'm driving off the road. When you don't have a solid contract, should have called a lawyer. Yeah, I actually have a lawyer friend that I could not give you the number to. You know? Damn. What stream's that gonna be? Oh, you know, in like about a few months. Not a few months, maybe when I'm like, maybe just one night when I'm very, very drunk and I've just decided to start streaming. There's a tire tool in the spare wheel of Mercedes. Looks like looks like a half-ass pee-pee. Mercedes is like the expensive car brand. I don't know anything about cars, guys. I don't know shit. The spare wheel. I don't know that. Not the Fent. I'm gonna start drinking Fent. My drink right now, you guys, it's water. It's water, guys. It's actually water. It's no, guys. It's actually fentanyl and vodka. I'm being so serious right now. Want me to put it in Discord? Please do. Because I have no idea what you're talking about. Guys, what would you do if I was actually drinking fentanyl and vodka? Stop me? You couldn't. Fentka. I love the drink Fentka. Yeah, the Australian government has already put the Fent in there, right? Yeah, it comes free with the water. You guys don't actually know this, but there are actually parts, right, where there are actually different kinds of water. So you have your bathroom water and you have your kitchen water. Kitchen sink water and the bathroom sink water are completely different. Each one of them has different fentanyl things in it, you know? Oh my god, it does! They like penis. Mercedes likes penis. What? Maybe Australia does slowly poison like their people with fentanyl. Oh, that'd be crazy. And this game is free to claim until the 25th. Fuck, I'm 2 days late. Endless. This looks really cool though. Mercedes nuts. What would you do if you bought a car and you got in and like you bought a Mercedes and you got in and they punched you right in the face? If you ain't got no money, take your broke ass home. Oh, what the hell? This is cool. M-O-R-O-U-S L-A-M-O-R-O-U-S. It's a bit old, but pretty beloved by the fans. Who the car? Like a transformer? Yeah. How does transforming work? If you're in the car of the Transformer when it's in car mode, when it becomes like person mode, do you get crushed? What happens there? Do you guys get crushed by the Transformer when it like transforms back into human? What happens? I have no idea. Like I don't know what to do there. What do you? We need a Transformer expert in here. Ew. Chat, this is so gross. The grossest thing just happened. I'm not gonna say it because it's really, really gross, but a really gross thing just happened. You would not believe what happened. I've been going for an hour already. Oh my god. Canonically, they can control how they shift into humanoids so they can transform. What? That's crazy. Imagine being inside of a car, they transform and you're outside on their hand. That'd be wild. What the fuck? And press a button, the seat starts vibrating. What happens if you get in a car, you press a button and the seat opens up?
I'm going to turn into a truck now. WRRRRCHI Churber CHICHRRR Gadunk Karcher.
Gadunk Karcher. Yeah, what would you do if you sat inside of a car and pressed a button and then the seats opened up and there was like all those like really, really like insane saws that are just like full power going on, and then you go through it like a grater? What would you do? You wouldn't be alive, you know? Like if you were part of the car, you yourself would become a Transformer, you would be eaten into the Transformers. L-A-M. You'd become Grady's? Exactly. Then you bought the car for nothing. What did you do? You were done. The Michael Bay Transformer sound effect is etched to my brain. The That was my Transformer sound effect, guys. Was that really good? Ready? I have a video. I have Optimum Pride. I found it. Glamorous. You fly in first class. Chat. That's my Optimus Prime sound. I'd fuck Optimus Prime. Are you kidding me? Like, what Transformers would you like to have sex with? He does a pretty good impression. He does. Look up, I'm gonna turn back into a truck now. I'm going to turn. If I wouldn't hear you say. Oh, cool. Anyway. Is it this one? Back in the day, there was a fan vote to pick a line Optimus Prime would say in Transformers movie. I still laugh thinking about it, how I'm gonna turn into a truck now. What I've done is I'm gonna turn to a truck now. She almost read my comment correctly. I tried. Where he goes, I'm gonna turn into a truck now. My neighbors must think I'm actually crazy. No, Gigi, don't mention Robux. I just don't call the Transformers fan. Calling all Transformers fans. How big is Bumblebee's? There's a shorter one where he does the sound. Is it this one? I think it's this one. Is it this one? I think it's this one. Okay. Thanks, YouTube Shorts. Get out of here. We hate you. I like it like that, yeah. Oh. Everybody. I'd block it for heaven's sake. I'm sorry. I'm still new to opera. I don't know how to get things on opera. I'm trying. You block Origin. You still have the song ingrained into your brain? I don't even know the song. I know the, yeah, opera. Opera? My girl says she called me red-handed pooping on the bedroom floor. Said she called me red-handed pooping on the counter. It wasn't me. Oh my god, I thought, oh my god, it's a song. She called me pooping on the counter. It wasn't me. I thought you were actually talking about that in real life. I'm like, why are you shitting on the ground? You haven't heard the scandals? No. What? Huh? What? You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal a video. You wouldn't steal a microwave. I would steal a microwave. Do you know how expensive those are? I would steal the fridge. My fridge is crazy. My fridge goes like, my fridge makes sounds, right? During the night, you'd be trying to sleep and you just hear, and it's like that's the ice. The sound of the ice. And like the water like goes around. It's so annoying. I would steal a fridge, is what I'm saying. That's my end here. I'd steal a good like $800 fridge. Oh. Oh. The disturbing truth. The illegal practice? That was 5 months ago. Okay, I'll watch this in my own time. So I can't use Chrome. I can't use Opera. Am I just, what the hell am I meant to do? Go to an ancient library and look at the books there and try and find all my knowledge from that? Oh my god, guys, let me show you this meme I found. Just give me 20 years. Just give me 20 years. Let me flip through some books right now. There are a lot of videos. Oh my god. Live in the woods. Guys, welcome back to my stream. Last night a bear did eat my entire leg. I am bleeding out right now. Why not Chrome? Because apparently there's stuff around Chrome as well. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna get banned from everything. Ow! My fingers. Lifting up a whole ass fridge and running out the show of it. I'd do it. I put that video on memes. I swear I'll behave. Oh, weird bars. Yeah! I've seen this. Bitch, it did. You got me red-handed, pooping in the kitchen floor. Firefox is a non. You telling me to use Firefox? Oh my god, there's so much happening. So much to do. I am using Firefox. I thought Firefox is like old. I thought it was like for old people. I don't know. I don't know what to use, chat. Since like, still the best. I'm being told to use Firefox by everyone. Hey, now I forgot it. I'm not calling you out, right? I swear. I just remember Firefox being on my nana's computer and she's like, I use it to play solitaire. And I'm like, oh. Chrome eats RAM like a hungry. That's why I stopped using Chrome. Because it eats RAM. And it was fucking up my streams heaps. So I guess now I have to use Firefox? Okay. Oh my god. So much to do. How few people is still a thing and how it's a good browser. If only you knew. If only you knew. What I was hallucinating with the flying books. You're hallucinating. You're going crazy. You're going wild. Hi, DJ Wade. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Everything is Chrome now. Everything's really hard. I'm having a really hard time. And I don't understand these web browsers. And I'm just trying to be a funny streamer that comes on here and streams, talks to everyone, and has like such a fun time. And everyone's time in a Firefox. And I don't know, dude. I wouldn't say I'm the safest person on the internet. That's so gaslight. Go keep girl boss of you, Ross. Ross, you're called a girl boss. You've done it. You've done it. Congratulations. You've been called a girl boss. You know what that means? I'm a bit. It's a way of life. I still just use Chrome anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I think because I've just transferred everything over to Opera, I think I might just like stay with that. Lower RAM usage by 80%. Oh my god. Spyware. This is gonna take me out, chat. This is gonna take me out. Are you kidding me? Chrome is it Opera is a Chrome with a different paint? Also spyware? What the fuck? Like, what are you? What am I meant to do? It's not a phase, it's a lifestyle. I love being a gaslight, gatekeep girl boss. That's my favorite thing. What's in the flying books? The one that's flying past right now, that is just like the daily weather. The one that's being put in the shelf back there, that's just like daily poetry. That book right there, that's just full of cooking recipes. You know, just some little things every there. We have like some good things. We have some good books about like poetry, some good ones about who write it. Celestial beings. You wouldn't know them. I go to a different school. Yeah, you know, there's just like some good things. There's some books on like medieval torture. We've got some books on like how to stop time, how to gaslight correctly. You know, just as normal library books. You ready to be suffocated? You ready to be suffocated? Why am I killing chat? You guys haven't done anything yet? Yet. Why would a corporation spend money if they won't get any in return? Oh my god. Everyone's out to get everyone. Everyone's out to get everyone, and this is it. Everyone's out to get me. Everyone's gonna get me, and I'm gonna be dragged away. I mean, like, yeah. I don't like this song. Paparazzi, Domino, Lollipop, it was on. I was thinking about her. Wasn't I just singing the song? I swear I was. Open my eyes, it was only just a dream. So Gigi Chrome's actually internet browsing part is called Chromium, and it's an open champion sound. Yeah, we about to get down. Oh my god, everything's happening so fast. So other brands like Oprah, Edge and such just take part and build their own application router. There's only free browsers. What? That's too much. That's too much. That's too much thought. That's too much thought. Oh my god. I want my sinus infected and Rona. I struggle. You have Rona? Dude, you have sinus infection too? We're all sick. This is great. This is so good. Negative. Also, real programs like Discord are actually just Chrome to their web. I didn't even know that. Discord are actually just Chrome too? I'm like, what the hell? Firefox is good because it's open source and ran by. What the hell? I'm learning too much. I'm learning too much this stream. My head can't take it. What if it turned out that you're $4 billion in debt because Opera's taking? Don't even freak me out like that. Don't even freak me out like that. Do you know? Oh my god. Do you know what would happen if I found out I was actually $4 billion in debt? I think I would cease to exist. I think I would literally take the first exit out of life. Like, that'd be it for me. I'll be out. You've worn out, you're welcome. Have a great BRB. I don't know what you meant by that, but have a great BRB. Literally, we'll pay someone to come to my house and extract my sinuses with a spoon. You know what we could use? 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 Give me your sinuses right now. Give me your sinuses right now. We're using these breast rippers to get your sinuses out, dude. We're taking them. Important question. Whatever you think about a service, always think about where the money comes from. Isn't the world in debt? Isn't that like a thing? wouldn't really call Discord Chrome, it's just written in HTML. Why is all my chat really smart in like coding and stuff? What is this? It's just like what happens when you stream. If you're not good smartly, then smart people Then smart people come into your chat. If you're not good smartly, guys. Is that just what happens? So you have like all these people in chat being like, yes, the HTML and the and how Chrome is and how Discord is just Chrome. Yes, I have no idea what any of you guys are. I feel like a kid that's trying to learn how to spell. Like, you don't want to. I'll take everyone's sinuses. I also have horrible sinuses. I'm also definitely sick too. At least we're not smug about knowing niche tech stuff, you know, Gigi. Could you imagine? Could you imagine everyone in chat just became so smug towards me? I think it would make me stop streaming. I'd be like, yeah, guys, I'm gonna go take a break. I don't know when I'll be back. And then I'll just end stream and not tell anyone ever. I wouldn't even go into the ending stream. I'd just be like, all right, bye. Except the funky little coders to come in and chat. I love the funky little coders. Ow, I hit my lip really hard. All the funky little coders are welcome to come into my chat because I love them because they're so smart. No, it is Chrome. In previous releases, you literally could open the... What the heck? You would never, unless... I would never, unless something, I don't know, drastic happened. I don't even know. I don't even know what to... I don't even know. Like, something drastic happened. I'm kind of fucked right now, guys. You still open and inspect elements, but even with the messing around doing bot development and making custom Discord programs, I've never found a base that's similar. Ooh. Yes, I also agree. I also agree on that. You know how funny it would be to make my... you know how funny it would be for my... if I streamed during the stream, my VTuber model eyes also was getting as red as my eyes. You know how funny that would be? They just start off normal and then like around like 45 minutes in, they're just like insanely red. For no reason. No reason at all. I make them good girls go bad. Good girls go. You can still open inspect elements, but even with messing around doing bot development and making custom Discord programs. I just read that. What the hell's going on? What's going on, chat? The smartest thing I've done with the inspect tool is learning how to rip video files from websites that don't want you to download them. Oh, that's crazy. Including the bolded one, don't sexualize Ginny. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, chat, please don't sexualize me. I'm so fine with making jokes. I'm so fine with making penis jokes and boob jokes. But the second it goes into like sexualization of me, we're gonna have to just like back up a bit. Take one big giant step back, you know? Chat. You know what I'm gonna play? I'm gonna play Night Bus. I really wanna play Night Bus. Good girls go. I really wanna play Night Bus. Have you guys ever played Night Bus? I wanna play Night Bus. Yeah, it's possible to download YouTube videos for free. Yeah, you take the URL and you put it in the extract YouTube videos for free site, and then you get it for free along with 20 million viruses. Huh? There's the gift in the top right, and you was syncing up to that. Yeah, that's just me. That's literally just my face right there. Use... Drop it in the Discord. Drop it in the DMs. In the DMs. Yeah, I want to play Night Bus. I have it downloaded. I really want to play Night Bus. Chat. We're gonna play Night Bus. Woo. Yeah, man. That was probably really bad of me to have done that just then. You guys don't want to know what I just did. You guys don't want to know. You guys don't want to know what I just... Hello! I'm really huge. Let me move here. Hey. 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 Give me this. Give me... No. This. Yes. Game. I really want to play Night Bus. This one. Make them good girls go bad. Can we hear this? Can we hear this, chat? We'll play Night Bus. Why am I like... Oh no. You can't? It's just because I clicked out of it. I clicked into it now. We gotta wait for my body to readjust to this. Night bussin'. You don't hear it? Why? Why don't you guys hear it? Still nothing? You kind of hear it now. It might just be really, really, really low. Let me fix it up. Very, very quiet. Okay. Okay, I'll fix it up. I'll fix it up, don't worry. I make them good girls go bad. Why is it in the negatives? That's so strange. I make them good. Okay. How's this? Can you guys hear the little... You heard us singing from the background music. Okay, well, that's good. Ross lost his hearing. Everyone lost their hearing, guys. If we can't hear anything, I'll have to make the sounds. I'll be like... It'd be really good if this worked. Why is it... It's making my... Oh... Let's do the voice acting? Yeah, okay. We'll do some good voice acting, don't even worry about it. Why is this going like this, though? Why is this making... Are we good? Are we good? I think we're good. Just me. I'm about to start drunk driving, chat.
Hello there, welcome aboard to your first cruise.
Hello there.
So quickly, it's been our final replacement drivers after the previous ones.
Yeah, don't even worry about it, man. Don't even worry about it.
Got any passengers you see at the stop, drop them
Oh, get!
off. Not before. Stop after 665 is out of service. Might look more
Ooh!
just use your best judgment.
This is so loud in my ear.
As well. Can be a bit sketchy out there. Try not to panic. Don't stay still too long. And there's a cuddly kitty on the dashboard. Don't start freaking out.
Bow, wow, wow. Bow, wow, wow. What? How do I go? How do I leave? All right, let's go. Let's go. Huh? Thank you so much for following, DJ. Can I eat the cat? What side of the road am I driving on? This side? Are we in like Massachusetts or America? Where are we? What are we doing? What is that? Oh shit, it's an actual car. Hello. Oh, how do you brake? Ugh. Can I turn my resolution up? All the dogs are going absolutely crazy right now. They're barking up a storm. How do I back up? Don't worry, sorry ma'am, sorry ma'am, sorry ma'am. Sorry ma'am. Good job ignoring the tutorial. That's just what I do. That's just what I do. Yeah, hello sir. How do I stop? Hello, good sir. Hello, welcome on in. Oh, you're old. Okay, yeah, I can do that. But don't worry about it. Want a ticket? Yeah, go sit down. Go sit down, ma'am. Go sit down, man. Go on now. Go on now. Oh, let me close the door. I make them good girls. Can we listen to my music? Good girls go bad. What's up? This is chat. Would you trust me as your bus driver? Would you trust me as your bus driver? Can we like stop? Ooh. Look over my shoulder. All right, yeah. There's nothing there. Oh. Ooh. Is this a stop? I think I'm going crazy. Good girls go bad. I don't know how to like stop either. Hey, sir. Bad. This is going great. I think we're having such a good time right now. I might need to turn down my resolution again because like what's going on? What's happening right now? Huh? Oh, 616? Yeah, don't worry, I got you. Okay, man, don't worry about it. Can I like see him? Where is he? Break this. Why did I break the CCTV? Remember to check the I am checking the security camera. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I've changed the resolution. I just can't change it any higher because it's like if I. How do I? Hold on now. Hold on, sir. Hold on, sir. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Don't even worry about it, man. I've got you. Oh, the old man telling you to stop. Okay. What? Man, this is so nice. I'm having such a good time right now. Being a bus driver? Archeola? What the fuck? Areola? What that kind of name for cat? Chat. That's a Pokemon reference? Areola. Hey! Oh my god. Hey, man. You coming on in? You coming on in? You getting on in, girl? Where you off to? Where you off to? You going, where you going? Where you going? You know what? Fuck you, man. Damn. Huh? Can you just call him Boob Cat?
Acerola.
Arsolia. How the fuck do I know about these band people? Eject on site. Do not let person on bus. How do I know about this? Oh, wait. Hey. 63. Hey. Hey, girl. Come on in. Come on in, Mrs. Bus Driver's here. Nothing wrong. Just drink driving. Evening. There you go, man. Thank you so much. Go have a little seat. That'd be so great right now.
Thanks, driver.
Oh, welcome. Oh my god. They're so nice. These people are so nice. I made them good girls go bad. Why can't I see any of them? Oh, hello. What's going on? Fuck. Sorry guys. Sorry guys. I'm really sorry. I've had a bit to drink tonight. It's a bit crazy. A bit crazy. I promise I'm good though. Do you guys need to get off here? Do you guys need to get off here? Hey man. What do you mean? Come on in, man.
No, I don't think so. No way. Not that bus.
What do you mean? No.
I might be done, but I am that bus. You don't get on that bus. That bus? Oh no. No freaking way. No.
No. You're so fast. What the fuck?
Wheels? Who needs it?
What the fuck? Nope, not that bus. No way. Ooh, 69? 64, never mind. Imagine you get on the you get on the bus. You get on the bus, and the guy's just drunk drinking a large and he asks you if you want some. Yeah, man, you want some? It's been pretty good right now. You know, it's just, I'm really feeling really relaxed. You know, I like to drink around maybe like 4 to 5 beers before I get behind the wheel, just to make sure I'm really relaxed in my head. Yeah, you've got it. Don't even worry about it. Next bus stop, that bus stop up there, cool. What did it say? Did it say like avoid 600 or something? Did it say to like avoid 600 or something? Like I don't, like what?
That guy was right. Bad
What?
vibes.
What do you mean? Where's the other person? Wasn't there another person? Did I pick up a... Oh, don't worry, I will, man. Don't even worry. Didn't I pick up another person? What happened? Did we pick up a fucking phantom? Oh my god, we picked up a ghost, guys. This is... Ooh, no. 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 There's no one to pick up. I'm just gonna drive straight past. Don't worry. Phone guy. Is someone breathing in my ear? Stop 66? What about stop? No. I'm not something for anyone. No, thank you. Bye, bitch. No. Where the path? Oh, cat. Come here, Areola. Do it for Sam? Hell yeah, man. I'm doing it for Sam. Damn, bro, I missed his whole fucking stop. Just drove right past him. 90. Just regular guy. I don't think he's a regular guy. There's no one on this bus, man. I'm not stopping for anyone. I'm gonna keep driving. Fuck you. I'm gonna keep driving. No one stops for him? I'm not stopping for anyone. Apparently I picked up a hitchhiker ghost. Excuse you. Sit the fuck right down. What? I'm not stopping for anyone. Fuck you. Make me stop, idiot. Bye. And they say that a hero can save us. I'm not gonna stand here and wait. I'm really not even going that fast. I'm going like maybe 60. What's this? Oh, some thingies. Got it. Ignore the knock for 5 seconds? What knock? There was a knock. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Slash is upset.
Freak. Get out of here. Leave me alone, you actual freak. You actual fucking freak. Get out of here. I'm not gonna stand here and wait. So your first bus run and you've completed it in a record time. Thank you so much. I feel like I'm really good. I feel like I've done really, really good, and I think I actually my dream is to be a bus driver. I think that's actually shut up. There's only no one on this bus. Don't tell me what to do. Picked up Spider-Man, picked up a demon, picked up a ghoul. Picked up a ghoul, you know? 700. Hell yeah. Burn it down. Burn it down. Guys, I think I'm actually doing really good. I think I'm doing really good. What's that guy gonna do? Crawl on the roof to get me? Anyone there? Oh yeah, don't worry. I'll stop for you. I'll stop for you. 701. Yeah, bus 64. Bus 64. Come on in, sir. Is anyone else getting off? Nah, you good. You good. Hello, sir. What's up? What's going on? Chat, imagine you're on a bus and there's a normal amount of people on it and someone goes to get off the bus and the bus driver just doesn't stop and then he never stops. What do you do? Oh, what the fuck? What did I didn't... Okay. That's cool, man. That's cool. Whatever. That's cool, man. I hope you're having a really good... You didn't tell me about friends. Alright. Cool, where we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? What are we doing? We're picking up speed just a little bit. Just a little bit of speed. Oh, you got so many more friends right now. Oh, okay. Awesome. Maybe I shouldn't have picked any. Okay.
Oh, you bastard, you only paid for one ticket.
You owe me $20 million. Why is he walking like that? Why is he walking like that? The actual freak. Get away. Actually back off. Actually back the fuck up, you weirdo. I don't want to set the what? Oh dear. Winner, winner, dear dinner. That was one? There's 4 more? Alright. We're not picking up anyone. We're not picking anyone up this time, chat. No one's getting picked up. We're doing this completely busless. Hello? Alright, everyone shut up. Everyone shut up. We're gonna listen to this now.
Hello there, welcome aboard.
Hello there. Hello there.
So quickly, it's been our fun replacement drivers after the previous ones.
Uh-huh.
We've got many passengers you've seen stop, drop off at the stop after the ding, not before. Stop after 665 is out of service. Might look normal, but well, maybe just use your best judgment. Try to keep it as well. Can be a bit sketchy out there. Try not to panic. Don't stay still too long. And there's a cuddly kitty on the dashboard. Don't be if you start freaking out too much.
Okay, not picking anyone up. No one up this time. Fuck y'all. You guys can walk home. You live on the other side of the mountain? Guess you're walking. Guess you're walking. Lose your job. Yeah. Your job speedrun. What if I rammed into you? I didn't think that would happen. I didn't think that would happen. I thought I would just spring away. Never mind. That was kind of a speed run. I guess. I didn't realize that would happen. Fuck, okay. Hello there. Yeah. I know what I'm doing. Oh, the door's open. Remember to open the door for passengers? Alright, jump in. Let's go, man. Jump in.
661.
I didn't know you had legs on you, sir. I didn't. Yeah, right. Okay, man. Yeah, okay. Yeah, go sit down, dude. Oh my god. He literally. Oh my god. What the 661? Alright, dude. Dude, literally, he actually jumped on.
Just jump on OK BET.
He actually jumped on. Okay, BET. Okay, bet. Oh. Sir, I'm gonna take you out. I'm gonna take all of us out. We're gonna go see the devil real quick. Don't even worry about it. Ooh. No. Fuck, that killed me and the old man. Okay, bet. Birds aren't real. Did you guys just see that? Did you guys just see that? It said birds aren't real. I didn't know he was gonna jump on. Listen, I didn't know he was gonna jump on. I didn't know he was gonna run at the breakneck speed and jump on my buzz. We gotta clip the old man jumping on Gigi's first crash. Thank you for the hydrate. I'm so thirsty. Bye, old man. No, thank you. No, thank you. What if I did open the door? Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh! Open the door for me, old man. Thank you for the stretch and hydrate. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I am kind of dying. Whoa! Under my umbrella, Ella. Oh my god. It's raining. Oh, free air conditioning. Feel the breath of the wilderness on your face. Feel the bus drift. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. Flip the bus. Can you run over? Oh, let me try. Hold on. Is that someone there? There's someone there. Don't worry. I got it. You bet. Don't even worry about it. This is actually everything that I do in this game as a bus driver is what I do 100% in real life. Okay, I want everyone to know that. I want that to be on the record. Is there any passenger? Nah. Pat Areola? Got it. Oh, meow. You're so cute. It's raining. Oh, baby. We go so slow. What is this? Oh, the same thing. Yep, gotcha. Oh, is that a person? Yeah, right. Oh, I can't. Chad, I think I'm stuck. No, I'm good. Don't even worry about it. Hold on, I just gotta... Yep. Give me a sec, ma'am. Hold on. Don't worry, ma'am. Don't worry, I'm coming. Don't worry. Hey, ma'am, you order a bus? You order a bus? Too bad. Too bad. Hey! Sit down back there! Goddamn. Fucking kids getting up and running around. Unbelievable. The creator definitely has good taste in memes. Bit. Am I actually like okay? You chat. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit silly today. I'm a little bit silly, a little bit goofy. Forgive me. Forgive me. I'm acting a little bit crazy. Sorry. Get out. It's raining, raining. Give my music. Imagine you just step out and give a random person the keys and says, here's the bus you order and then leave. Could you imagine someone hands me the keys to a bus? You know what I'd do. You know what I'd do. It's D and D. Drinking and driving. Give me the keys. Give me the keys. I swear I'm good. I swear I'm good. Ooh, spooky. So spooky and scary. I don't want this song. Hey. You can blow my whistle, baby. Whistle, baby. Me when I look out the window, that plays the piano. What? Oh, this is not the song. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low. To the window, to the wall. Chat. Sing it with me, sing it with me. Sing it with me. We're not picking up any. Ignored every passenger. That's me. That's me, baby. To the window. Oh, never mind. What happens if you pick up the skinwalker and drive the wrong way? Oh, get low, get low, get low, get low. To the window. Now we're gonna figure out 2 and 5. Oh, we haven't done 2. Why did balls get censored? Why did bitches get censored?
Hello there, welcome aboard to your first day at Boston.
Get me out of here. Get me out of here. We're on out right. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Wouldn't one of them just be, stay completely still? Wouldn't that be what one of them is? Just be completely still and don't do anything? I think that might be the go. I am listening to the clean version, listening to the big Christian version. Hey, sir. Get on in. Come on in, sir.
Stop. Go back. Go back. Stop. 661.
Alright, old man, I got you. Leave! Ghost! Fit, idiot! Goddamn. 1, get wrecked by demon. 3 is crashing. 4 is getting fired. So we gotta learn the last 2. Hey. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low. To the wall. This is a party bus, guys. This is literally a party bus. Oh my god, look at the moon! Holy shit, man! That's so beautiful. How do I look at the moon again? Hey, sir. Did you guys see the moon though? That shit was crazy. Have you picked up 666? No. Let me pick up 666. Through the window. Don't worry, man. I got you. Jump out. Jump out. Go. Go, sir. Alright, cool. That's it. My bus is different. My bus is... Yeah, you're welcome, man. Don't even worry about it. Oh. Back it up. Okay, so... Making my way downtown. So we have to... What's the word? What are we doing? He jumped. He did. That's good. What does it say? And I'm homebound. Chat, be so honest right now. Would you get on this bus if you saw it doing this down the street? Be so honest. Hey, man. Jump on in. Jump on in. Get on in, man. Yeah, there you go. Sit on down. No, you wouldn't. That's so messed up. Go sit down. Hello, ma'am. Fucking go sit. Hold on, we gotta pause. Do you think time passed me by? As if I could just gotta be around and weep. Oh no, not this bus. Evening. Oh my god, hello. You are such a nice Samaritan. You are actually so lovely. I hope nothing ever happens to you. You're so nice. You go sit wherever you need to sit, you know?
Thanks, driver.
You're welcome. Oh my god, she's so nice. Shut up. I can't believe I can't believe chat, you want to get on my bus. I'm a pretty safe driver right now. As long as I don't get pulled over to be breathalyzed or like breath tested or like or do like a pee test. No, not this, but well, fuck you. Get out of here. Don't make me tap the sign. Don't make me tap the sign. Ooh. Okay, let's go away. Can I like wipe it off? I'm picking up someone from 666, right? Tonight. We gotta pick up guy on 666. We gotta drop everyone off. It's gonna be so good, chat. Yeah, don't worry, I got you. I hear you. What's the bus? All right, you ready? You ready? You ready to jump out, ma'am? All right, cool. Go ahead. Not this bus. Nuh-uh. What? Okay, cool. If I could fall into... Did you get off? You got off. Yeah. You're good. You got it. Making my way. Chat, I think I'm doing really good. That was a bus stop ride that got off before. Are you on this one? Was this one 666? Yeah, alright, man.
That guy was right.
Bad vibes. Hello, sir. Hey, man. Here you go. Don't worry about it. You're so good. Don't worry about it. I'll give you a kiss on the lips next. I'll give you a huge kiss. Alright, so yeah, strap in. Let's go. Am I stuck? I think I'm stuck a little bit. I gotta reverse. Oop, wrong way. To the sky. 666? What's that gonna do? That's not gonna scare. Where did he sit? What the fuck? He's literally not showing up. Chat, he's literally not showing up. This is... Tonight. Oh, never mind. Hold you. Alright, where we're going, sir? We're going to bus 667? Is that where we're going? Yeah, I get you, I know. Yeah, this one up here? Alright. I got you, man, don't even worry about it. There was no demon at 666, it was literally just an old man. You wanna get off? Yeah, alright, cool. You don't wanna get, that's fine, that's cool. I would wanna hang out with me too. I wouldn't wanna, if I was driving this bus stop and I was also a passenger, I wouldn't wanna get off it. I'd be having too much fun trying to figure out, I've been having way too much fun, you know? Yeah? Okay. I can't really like... This one up here, man? Yeah, don't worry, I got you. Don't... Yeah, dude. You want to... Okay, hold up. Hey, dude, you want to get on? An empty bus with no... What? What do you mean? There's literally a guy right there. Hello? You look like a burglar. You look like you're gonna come burgle my joints. What are you doing? Okay, let's go. Go sit on down, sir. Let's go. Chat, are you enjoying this? I'm having a fun time. I'm having a fun little time. Good evening, Sam. Oh god, they're friends. They're buddies. Holy fuck. Did someone just knock? Don't rub my joints. Whoa! Oh my god! Ew! What the fuck, two of them? Ew, that was foul. Are you guys still back there? Yeah. Like, chill. Oh my god, I just had two freaks run across. Good evening, Sam. Oh, you want off? Hello? Okay. Yeah, dude, that's so fine. That's cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Why were you so close, my man? Get off my bus. Thank you. God help you. Old man still in the back there. All right. Oh, gonna go insane. Yeah, don't worry. I just pat the cat like 10 times. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm gonna dance for plantain some more. You need to get off here, sir? No, alright. Mr. DJ! Pick up and drop off everyone perfectly? A job well done. Hell yeah. Why can't I move anymore? Finish your shift normally? What's going on? What? I just work here, man. I just work here. What the hell? I did it. Do you have a cat, IRL Gigi? No. I wish I did. Bust out a ghost. What just happened? Nice job, thank you. I wish I had a little cat. I'd have a little orange cat and I would name him, I don't know yet. Okay. Did we get the do not stop for too long? Oh. You know, is it because I made them all run on and get it? Yeah. Okay, I'm going. Okay, again. Okay. Alright, let's go. Give me this cat. Ooh, baby. Let me. Whoa. Oh. Alright, jump in. Jump in, dude. Get in. Get in. We're going around. We're doing this all again. Please open the door, young man. Don't even worry about it.
Stop. 661.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll take you there. But you don't even need a ticket. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. No ticket for you because you're an old man. You don't have long left anyway. It's probably like a good thing. It's probably so good. Don't even worry about it. You good? I love this song. You and me night. Don't worry. You can get off. You can get. Don't even. It's on me. It's on me, pal. It's on me. I know. I'm so kind. It's on me though. Do you remember? Do you remember? Hey. 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 Alright, get ready to jump out, dude. Get ready to jump out. You ready? You ready? 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 Here you go. Go. There's your stop, dude. There's your stop. You want to get out? Do you want your ticket still? Do you want? All right, whatever, man. Whatever. You do what you need to do. I get it. I understand. Okay, let's go. Hi, cab. Hi. How are you?
That was my stop.
Okay, well then get off it. Then get off, dude. I literally had the door open. Okay? I literally had the door open, okay? You could have gotten off at any time. You could have gotten off at any time, okay? I gave you a free ride, but you still wanted the ticket. Like, come on, dude. Like, come on. All of the times we had. I'm not gonna pat you. I'm gonna freak out at work. I'm gonna freak out and have a crazy moment. So then I get money. Bring it back. Check engine. Is there like a petrol station nearby? Is this a petrol station? Hi, cab. Do you have a bus for a skinwalker? Yeah, that's just me. That's just me. You know how I am. You know how I am. Yeah, you know how I am. I pick up skinwalkers all the time. Tonight, just you and me tonight, everything will be okay. Do you want this bus stop? Evening. Evening. Alright, let's go. Oh, shit. Shit, shit. Okay, I think I fucked up real bad. I think I... Oh, yeah. We could turn the other way. You don't worry. Don't worry. I've got this. I've got it.
Thanks, driver.
Yeah, you won't. Don't worry about it. Alright, we're gonna go back the other way now. But I guess I'm gonna go. I'm gonna. Whoa. Shut up. What if we go backwards? What's gonna happen? What if I drove into someone's house? When I came home at lunchtime. Can we shut the fuck up? No, you're so fun. You're so cool. Peter. He told me he had a time machine. Yeah. Chat, I think what? Can someone search up what number 2 is? Because like I don't think I have the capacity of like doing that right now. I think you know there's only so many times that you can play this game and be scared. Huh? There's 5 endings. I think we have all of them except 2. I don't know what that one is. Stopping away from the bus stop. I bet number 2 is driving the opposite way and just seeing what happens. Not much has changed, but they lived underwater. Do for Sam. Granddaughter. What a number 2 is, thanks. Oh yeah, maybe don't. 2 is looking behind you when your panic is maxed out. 2 is looking at the moon and being grateful that you're alive and that you're also in the same universe as a place where you get to look at the wonderful and beautiful moon, and then maybe be in the same universe as skinwalkers. I don't know. Yeah. He told me he built a time machine. 5's actually doing your job. Aww. Fuck. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Aww. Man, I thought it was gonna like lead us off like a bridge or something. It was gonna take us off the bridge. Man, I don't want to look for number 2. I don't want to look for number 2. That's too much effort. That's too much effort. That's too much effort, chat. Not much. Where am I? There I am. And your great granddaughter is doing fine. Hey guys. Need you to never pet the cat. Really? Get all spooks, never pet the cat, and keep looking over your shoulder. Oh. Okay. Well, thank you for the Fish and Hydrate, Cab. I really appreciate it. 2 is looking behind you when your panic is maxed out. Oh. What happens there? Do I just go googly moogly and crazy and then like beat a hole in the wall or something? Sorry, let's have some water. My lips are so chapped. It's actually kind of gross. I think if someone saw me in real life with my chapped lips, they would scream and go the other way. Oh my goodness. This is disgusting. Oh, this is foul. Oh, chat. This is disgusting. I'm gonna start crying my eyes out. You haven't used lipstick? Do you mean lip balm? Oh, my lips are so chapped. This is disgusting. Girl. Okay. I have all the money in the world. Lip balm. Yeah, lip balm. Chap. I think I might dip because my lips are really hurting from being so chapped and I can't do anything about it because I have a cold sore, so I can't like add any moisture or anything because it just makes it worse. And it really hurts to talk So I'm gonna dip. If you guys can hang around for the raid, that'd be really cool. Oof, I know, it sucks. Every time I open my mouth a bit more, it like chaps my lips even worse, and I can like feel the cracking. Take care of your own health. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die, dude. No, Ross, you also feel better. You're dying as well. I think everyone right now is really, really sick. It sucks. I wish everyone to heal. That's what I wish. I wish everyone heals up and it's so good and great and everyone has a great little time and everyone's really I got a feeling and everyone but yeah, let's find someone to raid, shall we? Just long-term side effects. That's so messed up. You can't feel better today. They've been awful since Tuesday. Just keep having water and keep your health up and keep eating really good. And also, Super, your long-term side effects, I'll beat him up. I'll take him. I'll grab him and throw him against the wall. And I'll throw him against the wall like never happened. Oh, my lips, dude. My lips hurt so much. I'm actually kind of dying a little bit. Ooh. Dude, my lips. Ew, I'm sorry. Oh, anyway. Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah. Well, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow for stream. Don't pick them, we'll make them work. I'm sorry, I was literally just picking them. I was literally just picking them. I need to get my shit thrown out. I need someone to grab this and throw my hands away. Alright, I fucking knew it. I'm sorry! What do you want from me? Anyway, I'm gonna send you over to Elle. She's doing some just chatting. Elle is so sweet. She has these little blob things. I have time after I sleep. I have time? Around 8 hours? If I remember. If I remember. That's what it comes down to. If I remember things. Okay, we're gonna go ready. Elle. Elle's so sweet. They are doing some just chatting. They have a really, really cute model at the moment. Their model is so cute. And she has these little blobfish stream avatars. I'm stealing that idea. I'm gonna make some stream avatars. It was lovely to see you as well, Cab. It was lovely to see everyone. I really appreciate everyone that came through. It's just everyone's so sweet. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. I think we might play some Hades 2 or some Fallout. But yeah, I'll see you guys all very, very soon. Let me get an ending. Thanks for the funky stream about medieval torture. Don't even worry about it. That's just what I do. That's just what I do, you know? That's just me. Okay, I'll see you guys all very, very soon. Good luck with the rest of your night or the rest of your day. I'm gonna go deal with my lips. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.